So this topic's going to be looking at game analysis and activity analysis. What is a game analysis? Game analysis is a method of observing, recording, and essentially analysing the physiological requirements involved in an activity or sport. How do we do a game analysis? So what ways can this be done? So it can be achieved through observation, so purely just by watching, videotaping and recording, recording statistics, monitoring heart rate, GPS tracking, and blood lactate testing. So all of these things are trying to help us identify the sort of intensities we're working at, the durations we're working at, and then we can essentially train accordingly. So why do it? What's the purpose of doing a game analysis? Well, essentially, this is the process. So the first step is to analyse the game. So we conduct a game analysis to understand more about the demands of the sport or activity, so the intensity and duration that we're working at. And then by this we can understand the sort of energy systems that are used, the fitness components and the major muscle groups. Once we understand this, then we can train accordingly. So this is step 2. We can apply training methods and principles in order to see some sort of improvement and be prepared for the sport. We can then measure and monitor our training through conducting fitness testing to see whether we've actually been improving. And as a result of all this, we do see improvements, and those improvements are actually the creation of these chronic adaptations, these permanent changes in our body, and they can happen to our circulatory system, our muscular system, or our respiratory system. And they're with us all the time, and they can help improve our performance at lots of different intensities. So how do you conduct a game analysis? Well, basically, we need to identify 3 things. The first thing is we need to sort of work out, well, what are the major energy systems used during the sport? The second thing we need to work out is what are the major fitness factors or fitness components that the athlete is going to use so that we can train accordingly. For example, if muscular power is an essential fitness component for the game of volleyball, then we need to identify that and then train and develop our muscular power. For a swimmer, agility isn't really important, so therefore we don't need to train agility. And finally, also the major muscle groups or movement patterns required by the sport. So now we're going to look into those in a little bit more depth in our next slide.